Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are KC.
Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The Royals wrap up a 3-game series here in Seattle before taking off to face the Oakland A's over the weekend. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. Joel Goldberg is coming up. It's the deciding game of the series tonight, thanks to Mike Montgomery shutting out the Royals last night. And now Roenis Elias, a good left-hand pitcher for Seattle tonight. Royals have lost their last 7 against lefties.
Well, similar pitcher, although he's a little more aggressive with his fastball in, is this Elias young man we're facing tonight. They're going to have to make some adjustments with runners in scoring position and quit swinging at the spinners that are in the dirt. They're not having success off that.
And in the big picture, let's remember the Royals still have the best record in the American League. They have a 3.5-game lead, and they've done it for a big chunk of the season with 3 starters on the disabled list. Danny Duffy is back tonight.
Boy, all the problems they've had with keeping guys healthy on the mound, they sure have done well, just like you said, Rhino. But this guy here is a big key to the rotation. If Duffy can come back and pitch like he did in April, you see the good numbers in April, we'll show you the good Duffy. April, he was able to take enough off of his pitches to have a different speed variation. He was able to use the high fastball for strikeouts. You know, he does throw, in the mid-90s when he's on, but he's really got to be able to keep that front shoulder in. When he's not going good, watch his shoulder. When his shoulder flies open, the ball stays up, and it can be hittable, very hittable. So it's all about the shoulder. He can work on his hands and whatever he wants to do to hold him to get the delivery, but the shoulder's key for Duffy.
Royals took game 1, 4-1. Mariners only had 2 hits in that game, and then Seattle bounced back with 7 runs on 10 hits last night. Danny Duffy has also made some mechanical adjustments, and Joel will chat with Royals pitching coach Dave Eiland when we come back.
Elias Alcides Escobar with the pink bat. A grand slam, 4-run second inning. Esky was fired up, and the Royals were able to tag Elias for 5 runs in that game. Joel Goldberg back here at Safeco Field. So tonight we see a matchup of 26-year-olds, a pair of 26-year-old left-handers, Elias for Seattle, and Danny Duffy coming off of the disabled list, his first start since May 16th. You might see a little bit of a different delivery out of the windup for Danny, going to look a little bit more like Wade Davis. That might help, but there are other keys too.
The big thing with Danny is keeping his front side, his front shoulder, and his front hip on line going right towards home plate, not pulling off and spinning off. That's when he loses command of everything, especially his fastball.
So Duffy is back, and Roenis Elias is ready to face the Royals. Lefty Mike Montgomery had 10 strikeouts against them last night. Can they solve Elias? First pitch with Ryan and Rex coming up next.
High-speed internet. The U-verse revolves around you. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT. By your local Kansas City Chevy dealers. Come visit for great prices on all the new 2015 Chevy vehicles. And by the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri. So play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. The roof has been open the entire 3-game series here with beautiful early summer weather in the Pacific Northwest, and the Royals will head south to the Bay Area after tonight, enjoy an off day tomorrow, and begin a series with the A's on Friday. Our State Farm lineup for tonight: Lorenzo Cain, when he made that great play on Dustin Ackley late in the game last night to deny Ackley a chance at hitting for the cycle, tweaked his hamstring, so he's back out of the lineup. And Gerard Dyson will be in center field batting 9th. And the Royals will be facing left-hander Roenis Elias.
Yep, they can expect a steady diet of fastballs early first time through. 92 to 94. He's got a 4-seamer that he bores in on righties and a 2-seamer that has a little bit of sinking action. He also has a 79 to 82 mile an hour curveball and a changeup. And he's got some late hard sinking action on his changeup. And he's going to come at these guys. He's a fast worker. Got a lot of confidence in his changeup. But with runners in scoring position, the key for the Royals tonight will be to lay off of the changeups and sliders down.
Franklin Gutierrez plays for the Mariners for the first time since 2013 as he comes up from the minor leagues, and we'll be talking about him tonight. A lot of problems with injuries, with intestinal problems, and he was on his way to being a star here in Seattle, both offensively and defensively, and he is back for the first time in 2 seasons. Alcides Escobar goes after the first pitch and hits a routine fly ball to Trumbo in right field, who's fighting the sun. 1 pitch, 1 away.
Sun will be a little tester for right fielders early in the game, especially on line drives. That high ball there, that was no problem. Royals having some difficulties beating lefties. However, their average against lefties is .267. That's 3rd best in the league, so they're getting their hits off of lefties, but they're not getting them with runners in scoring position.
And I wonder too how many of those hits came earlier in the season. The Royals got off to a pretty good start against lefties, but after losing to Mike Montgomery last night, the Royals are now 0-7 in their last 7 games against lefties. And Elias, he'll drop down like that against lefties, and he gets a slider in for a strike.
It's going to alter that arm angle, especially against lefties, and like we just saw. And Elias, he charted last night's game with Montgomery, so he's fresh on what he did to the Royals, and really what he did was just threw his secondary pitches out of the zone just like that. It'll be very difficult on lefties. Moose holding his own this year, .273 against lefties.
There he is, his first major league shutout in his 5th big league start. No walks, 10 strikeouts. And this is a much different first inning for Elias than it was for Montgomery. The Royals loaded the bases with nobody out. And Ned Yost was saying before the game tonight that he thought the Royals were going to put the game away in the first inning. But Montgomery got out of that. The Royals put 2 on and nobody out in the second inning. Montgomery got out of that, and that was the last time the Royals threatened.
He was on top of his game. Now, Elias has different arm angles and throws a little bit harder. It looked like he got off balance there. He uses the fastball both sides. And he has strikeout ability, just like Montgomery showed last night. He struck out 10 Astros in 7 innings in his last start. So no piece of cake for the offense tonight. This guy, he mixes up his pitches pretty well.
Cano is out, Trumbo is in, and the Royals go down quickly against Elias in the top of the first. Logan Morrison is going to move down to the number 7 spot with Duffy on the mound. So Austin Jackson leads off, as he did many years with the Detroit Tigers. And he puts us in the driver's seat. Royals had discussed Danny Duffy making 3 rehab starts, but after 2 at AAA Omaha and giving up just 2 earned runs in 7 2/3, decided to bring him back early. And it could be good timing. This is a tough ballpark to hit in. Ball doesn't carry all that great, and Seattle is not having a very good year offensively.
Nope. And for Duffy, that's his best pitch tonight. Strike 1. Get out of the first inning, maybe the second inning, and then get in cruise control. Get his stuff working. Excellent spot. Good fastball. He'll go mid to look like a little bit of upper now. We haven't seen him pitch in a month, but he mixes in a big curveball, but he's tightening it up a little bit, throwing more of a slider. We'll have to see.
That's a swing. Pat Hoberg is the first base umpire.
And he'll mix in some changeups. 3-pitch guy. Look at that. If he can establish that fastball, that'll make that pitch a lot better.
Perez wanted that. 97 just off the outside part of the plate. 2-2.
It's a good spot. Well, the Mariners, they're just facing just the 4th left-handed starter since May 24th. Okay, so it's been a while. They're 7-7 against left-handed starters, and that's when they started the season 0-4 against southpaws. So they haven't seen a left-handed starter in quite a while.
And that's hit well into left center field. Alex cuts it off. Jackson takes a wide turn, and he will hold with a long single. Royals defensively presented by Ford. Eric Hosmer now second in the American League All-Star voting at first base, passed by Miguel Cabrera.
Come on, vote him in. Let's go, folks. Keep the voting going. Got to catch Miguel Cabrera.
Lorenzo Cain, here's the play we were talking about. If Dustin Ackley had a chance to hit for the cycle, that's where he wanted to hit the ball. He needed a triple. And Cain made that great running play, but tweaked his hamstring as he was decelerating. So Dyson will play in center field for the 2nd time in this series.
Lots of times you injure yourself after a full out run when you're decelerating. Sometimes the muscles grab. Hopefully he's not out long.
And now 2-0 on Franklin Gutierrez. He got a nice ovation when he was announced. Franklin Gutierrez in 2009, gosh, 6 years ago, 18 home runs, 70 RBIs. He also had a 25 stolen base season. He won a Gold Glove in 2010. So he was on his way, and that was a well-deserved Gold Glove. He was some kind of center fielder, but then developed irritable bowel syndrome, which has stayed with him the last 5 years. Wow. Broken bat and foul by less than a foot. He could have played last year, but realized that he was just too sick to play, so he opted out of a contract and was placed on the restricted list by the Mariners. He did not play at all, but decided this year he wanted to give it another shot. Started in the minor leagues, still bothered, and can suffer from extreme fatigue, so he can't really play every day, but maybe 3 days a week or so, and the Mariners need a right-hand bat, so here he is.
Never heard of that before. Tough. Duffy has a step-off move that he'll use to first, and that's just a courtesy get me overthrow. Duffy's been working on holding his hands a little higher from the stretch. He told me because when he held his hands at the belt, when he started home, he would bounce, and that would throw his delivery off. So he's kind of making some adjustments with his hands. You know, we'll see as he goes on and evolves in this game. He's got more of a Wade Davis type windup and
over the head,
right?
Hands over the head,
over his head, free and easy. It's a little easier for him. Frees him up.
Popped up to Infante. 1 out. Duffy's last start, and we showed you some highlights at the top of the show, was against the Yankees over a month ago, back on May the 16th. Just 4 hits allowed in 5 innings, but 4 walks, and gave up a big home run to Chase Headley, which accounted for 3 of the 4 runs. But the numbers inside the numbers, he threw a first pitch strike to 5 of 15 hitters, so he was behind all night. Now it's becoming a trend, and then the biceps tendonitis, and they put him on the disabled list.
Getting ahead of hitters, that's essential for every big league pitcher. Sets up the other pitches to get the hitter out. And Dave Island, he said it before the game, right after our open. Joel interviewed him. That front shoulder has got to stay driving downhill towards Salvi. When he opens up his shoulders, where he pulls off the ball, just like a hitter does when he opens his shoulder. So we'll just have to keep an eye on Duffy. This is the inning he's got to get out of. And the next one, just to kind of get some rhythm. He's only thrown 11 pitches. Still not enough time to find himself here.
Cano shaking his head at Chris Siegel, home plate umpire. Now last year, Danny Duffy was one of the best in the major leagues against left-hand hitters. They hit 137. In fact, that was the best in the major leagues. Two balls, 1 strike.
He wants to stay away from that too. Body language, talking to himself, not letting the opponents know he's not comfortable. It's really important for an emotional guy like Danny to just hide his emotions, keep his focus on Salvi. Strikes downhill.
95. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And that's something he's fought since coming to the big leagues. He's just an emotional, passionate kid. Very likable, fun to be around. And yet trying to find the right balance. You know, how much passion, how much emotion. James Shields helped him a lot last year with how to channel that emotion. And you know, Shields was so good at when he was on the rubber, he was focused. But if you watched him over 2 years, when there's a routine fly ball to the outfield or a ground ball, he'd go behind the mound, maybe scream something in his glove, you know, just get it out, so that when he got back on the mound again, he was released of those frustrations. Or Shields, after the final out of the inning, we'd catch him walking off the mound back to the dugout, and he'd be yelling into his glove.
Well, when you've been around long enough, you understand that the opposing hitters are watching your every move out there. And they feed off of emotion, good or bad. And Duffy's been good, but he's been out a month. Might be expecting a little bit too much right here. He slowed the tempo way down. He just needs to get that rhythm and get back into it.
3-2 on Cano.
Duffy's fastball is electric tonight. I don't know why he's even messing with that breaking ball. He's blown a couple pitches by Cano already. 93 to 97. Plenty of good enough heat to get it by hitters.
There we go. He must have heard you.
And these guys, Salvador knows what's going on. And Duffy does too. But in order for Duffy to gain some confidence, he's got to establish that pitch.
Now Nelson Cruz. Royals have pitched him well so far. He is 0 for 6 in the series.
He is tops in the league with batting average against lefties. 422 with 7 homers. You got to be real careful with this guy. He's short and compact with his stroke when he recognizes the fastball out of the middle. Very good. Most power hitters are great mistake hitters, and that's what he is. He's looking for that mistake. So you can get him with 4 seamers up with that type of velocity and breaking balls down and change ups away. Haven't seen a change up from Duffy. Here comes one.
Austin Jackson single to lead off the inning. Still standing at first with 2 down.
Jackson, he didn't go earlier with the last hitter up there, Gutierrez or Cano. I don't think he's going here either. Why would you take a chance of getting thrown out with Nelson Cruz at the bat? He's got 7 steals. He's been caught 6 times. He's not going anywhere.
Best breaking ball of the night, 1-2. Back into the crowd.
Overall, pretty good first inning, although he's thrown 21 pitches. Like to have gotten it done a little sooner, but he's trying to find himself. Stuff looks good.
Two balls, 2 strikes, and he's had several fastballs in this inning at 97.
He's strong, no doubt. Sometimes that'll leave a few of those balls high. A lot of that's a combination of that shoulder, that front shoulder anyway, keep it from flying open.
Mariners are hoping to build on last night. Boy, they've had a long string of down offensive seasons, and this is another one. Last in the league in hitting, second from the bottom in runs scored, last in on base percentage. But last night, 7 runs on 10 hits. Foul tip. Cruz strikes out. Duffy strikes out 2. Getting both Cano and Cruz with fastballs in the mid to upper 90s. No score. Our next covering the bases at Kauffman Stadium with Royals first base coach Rusty Kuntz is coming up on July 8th. And we're happy to announce that the Commandos from Topeka, a 12 and under team, will be out there with Rusty. He'll have a current player, a former player out there as they go over many of the baseball basics. I'm sure there'll be an emphasis on defense and running the bases, two of Rusty's specialties. And there they are, the Commandos. Congratulations.
I'll say, you boys bring your thinking caps and learn, because you're going to get a lot of knowledge. Way to go.
Hosmer grounds out to Cano, and Elias has retired the first 4. You ought to go out there, Hud.
Shoot, I love working with the kids, man. But, you know, Rusty has to invite me. That's his thing. I'll be happy to go anytime. Okay. I love it.
Ball 1-2, Salvador Perez.
Salvi 268 with 4 homers against lefties. Two for 3 against Elias in his career.
That was supposed to be down and away, and he made a mistake out over the plate, and Sal was all over it.
Especially with that pitch. But I doubt he sees that one again. He's just a tad out front. If he waits on that, he's going to have extra bases.
Left center field, Jackson got a good read. So Sal is right on Elias. 2 down in the second inning.
That was on his changeup. That is up, though, is right out of the plate. So he made back-to-back mistakes. Although that's not a bad spot, but Salvi, he got a lot of the barrel on it. The test is going to be to get on base, obviously. You can't steal first in this league. But once you get in scoring position, Elias gets tougher and tougher. He's only giving up a 186 average. Oh, you got to like that. Come on, get there. Oh,
wow.
I like to see that.
And that is why Kyle Seager won a Gold Glove last year. Man, I thought that was a hit all the way.
Oh, he used a little ridden troll right there. He got rid of it with some petrol on it.
home against the Minnesota Twins. But first, let's tell you about the University of Kansas Hospital injury report. I'm excited about the 4th of July.
You should be.
You know?
Be a great weekend.
Kyle Seager to Mike Moustakas, 1 down. All right, let's try again. So Lorenzo Cain, and Ned Yost said it's not serious, but with the day off tomorrow, a little tweaked hamstring on that running play against Ackley, so a chance to give him 2 days off. Royals had a long flight to get here to Seattle, and Yordano Ventura, the Royals want him to pitch in Omaha and see if that nerve has calmed down before they pitch him in a big league game and take him off of the disabled list. So he'll have the rehab start on Friday for AAA Omaha. Mark Trumbo with 1 down in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Danny Duffy allowed a leadoff single in the 1st and then retired the next 3 with a couple of strikeouts. And now he's ahead 0-2 on Trumbo.
Okay, here's Danny Duffy, full windup, glove over his head, comes down and through. And I talked to him yesterday about that, and he said that it makes me feel better. It's rhythmic ease.
Whoa.
Yeah,
it's kind of deep.
I said, let me get my notepad and write that down. Rhythmic ease, and Wade Davis's locker's right next to his. So they were chiming in. They were both kind of talking, and Duffy been watching Davis, and Wade Davis is just so free and easy, and it frees him up. It's an easy feel for me. I'm going to go with it. See how it works. Rhythmic ease.
Ooh, and a changeup. So he threw all 3 pitches there to Trumbo, and Danny has his 3rd strikeout. All right, let me get things back in order again. 4th of July. It's coming up on July 4th. Do you know that?
I heard about that.
Minnesota Twins will be in town, and the Royals are giving away this trucker cap to the first 10,000 fans through the gates, presented by the Kansas City Steak Company, and then a great fireworks spectacular after the game. That's just a look now, Hud.
Okay, as I say, disregard those holes. But I guess you don't really want to discard that. That's part of the look.
It's the distressed look.
Thank you.
That's a nice swing by Morrison going the other way. Really didn't seem like a bad pitch by Duffy. Morrison's on with 2 outs.
I talked with a big 240-pound first baseman. I asked him about leading off. He says, well, you know what? I got no pop out of the 1 hole. I haven't hit a leadoff homer. And against the lefty, he dropped me down today. So I'm going to have to try to shorten up my swing a little bit and get some base hits off this lefty so I get to stay in there the next time against the lefty. And that's exactly what he did. Shorten up his swing. That's a beautiful piece of hit. No pop out of the first hole, he said. Hadn't hit a leadoff home.
Mike Zunino struck out the first 4 times he batted in this series, and then finished last night's game with an RBI single, a walk, and a flyout. And Duffy, good control, hits the inside, no balls, 2 strikes. You know, I wonder too at Duffy, now he's pitching out of the stretch, but pitching out of the windup for someone who is so amped up like he is, by doing the full overhead windup, that causes him to slow down, right? I mean, it's hard to rush that motion.
Right, it gives him that ease and that smooth ease.
Was it again rhythmic?
Rhythmic ease, but he says that it balances him over the rubber better when he comes up over his head. And I told you the other adjustment was when he's holding guys on, he's coming set around the Kansas City, and he's not coming to his belt. He's coming across, you know, right there. He's holding his hands up on his chest there. And he says because when he was coming from his belt, he was bouncing when he started, and it threw his rhythm off. So, but just keep an eye on it. Now that we've broken him down the last inning and a half, we need to just watch this guy work. He's very smooth. If he's around that plate, he's got great stuff. Should be able to hold the Mariners down. This will be a huge boost of confidence for Duffy and for Ned. Ned's looking for Duffy.
Slide step, and it's pulled foul. She will probably keep that ball for the rest of her life. Look, she's so excited she doesn't want to sit down. Left center field. Dyson will cut it off. That keeps Zunino at first. Morrison goes first to third.
See what that is? That's elevation. Hitters like that. A little easier to put in play out there. Good athlete. Is able to handle that with no problem. First to third.
Now the number 9 hitter, Brad Miller. He's had good command of his fastball.
Right there. And plus, Miller, you know, he's just a 122 hitter off lefties. 221 overall.
All year, a key for the Royals is how well they have hit with runners in scoring position and 2 outs, and are Toyota League leaders. I'll show you how the Royals have pitched this year with 2 outs. And we'll show it to you eventually. Inning over. Duffy gets around a 2-out pair of singles and no score at the end of 2. Keep voting Royals at Royals.com/vote. And that voting ends on July 2nd, which is, what, a week from tomorrow.
Coming up, folks.
Eric Hosmer second in the league now at first base. Mike Moustakas, with the year that Josh Donaldson is having, has narrowed the gap. Did you see the play that Donaldson made today in Tampa Bay?
Missed it. I'm hoping we'll see it tonight sometime in our broadcast.
Very Alex Gordon-like. Now Donaldson, of course, third baseman, and Alex a left fielder. Alex had a much longer run to the side wall in Chicago, but Donaldson, man, he went diving into the crowd off of third base. Make a play on David DeJesus.
He's a gamer.
Rios got a pitch up. Didn't quite get it. And Jackson is into left center field. One down. All right, a Mazda game break. Here it is, Hud. David DeJesus, pop up.
Ooh. Oh, wow. That's nice.
I mean, that's 3 rows into the crowd.
Oh, yeah, love it. Oh, nice. He dove right into that guy's sternum. Sweet. He looked twice, though. He knew exactly where he was. He measured that wall.
Now, Alex didn't have anybody's sternum to land on in Chicago. It was more of an empty seat and concrete steps.
Which could be a little more dangerous.
1-1 on Infante.
Infante just 207 against lefties.
2-1. Elias has retired the first 7 Royals tonight. He is from Cuba, Elias, and defected to Mexico in 2010 after a 30-hour boat ride. Signed the next year by the Mariners. Made his big league debut last season. Now Jackson makes the play coming up in center field. 2 down.
All right, since we showed you that Donaldson catch, we got to show you our gold glove, our platinum glove winner, Alex Gordon, going into the stands. There's Donaldson on the right, Alex, both backhanded plays. And both beautiful highlight reel plays.
Dyson gets a second start this series. Lorenzo Cain got the game off on Monday, and Dyson went 1 for 3 with a stolen base and a run scored. Three pitches, down he goes. 9 up, 9 down against Elias.
Whew. He's tough.
Order online with rapid pickup at delivery.panerabread.com. By Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Jeep, come discover great deals during the Jeep Drive and Discover event. Mount Rainier, which feels like it's just hovering over Seattle. And we've had mostly perfectly clear skies all 3 days here, so great views of Mount Rainier from downtown Seattle and Safeco Field. Hosmer going out and takes care of Austin Jackson. Jackson is 1 for 2. Well, Tiger fans, show your school pride and get your tickets for Mizzou Night, Friday, July 24th. And the first 4,500 fans who bring their Mizzou Night ticket to the table, designated table, will receive a limited edition black and gold KC Royals Mizzou cap, courtesy of Fox Sports Kansas City and Rally House. Friday, July 24th. That'll be the Royals and the Astros. All one to Franklin Gutierrez. Danny Duffy, for the most part, has kept his fastball down tonight. Kept it on the outer edges of the plate. Very few right down the middle. And that doesn't hurt.
It's backdoor curve. Sure helps. The umpires giving you those. We've seen some umpires tighten their zone and call that a ball, but Chris Siegel tonight, that's a strike. I like it. If it touches any part of that plate, it should be called. My opinion only. I'm not a trained umpire.
2-2 on Gutierrez.
A lot of young umpires in the game today. There's probably 10 veteran umpires that would be already retired, but they had some, they had their labor negotiations. They didn't get the kind of pension plan that they wanted, so a lot of guys are staying in there.
Hang on to it.
Yeah, that's just a pocket ball there. Unfortunately, nothing you can do on that one.
Well, in Franklin Gutierrez's mind, that is a line drive and his first hit since 2013. You know, we say sometimes that a fielder shovels the ball, and it's not really a shoveling it. That one was.
Yep. He had no chance on that. Hitter with any kind of speed loves those.
So far, Robinson Cano has not been able to get around on Duffy's fastball. Danny struck him out with that pitch in the first inning.
Coming in, Cano was 3 for 8 with 1 homer, not counting his last at bat. And a slow start to Robinson Cano's second season with the Mariners, but he has shown some signs. He homered in his first at bat on Monday against Joe Blanton, and that was Blanton's only run. And then last night he had 2 hits, including a double. Skips away from Perez. And Gutierrez moves up to second base on a wild pitch. Salvi was able to stop the last one in the dirt. This one here just kind of hit off of the thumb of the glove up on his chest protector and kicked a little far from it. Gutierrez, you have to advance on that. When your offense is struggling like the Mariners, you got to be able to advance on balls in the dirt. Do little things to try to do anything to help your team now. You talked about their dismal 211 average with runners in scoring position. Cano's just hitting 191 with a guy at second and beyond.
Two and two.
3 hooks in a row. See if he tries to get back in there with that fastball. Cano knows it's coming. Says 3 in a row. He's got to come back with a heater.
And he's late on it. No chance for a double play.
Had him played just right. High fastball. Short, quick swing. That's a good pitch there. I mean, I would have tried up there. He was trying to get a little bit higher, but fortunately Moose was there. And if it gets by Moose, there's no way Gutierrez scores on Alex on it. It was hit too hard. And most every third base coach in the league and in the National League know about Alex Gordon. They rarely run on him anymore. Days of running on Alex are over, unless it's something that it's game on the line or something like that. It's kind of respect Alex gets. He deserves it.
One on Cruz. Here's what we were talking about. Royals have the second best average in the American League, the fourth best average in the major leagues. Opponent's average with 2 outs. 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Royals pitching has held the opponent to a 2.04 average.
It's impressive. Got to do it. Keep him from scoring. So this is the one guy though here. You can't let Nelson Cruz beat you. He's a beast, especially against lefties. 422, 7 homers. He's looking in there and could make a difference in tonight's game. Is going to be the home run ball, in my opinion. Good pitch. Finished it.
4 strikeouts in 3 scoreless innings.
Woo! Just where you want it.
changer over his last 15 games, up to 328, and he's been a run producer as much as he's been a run scorer. 10 RBIs, 11 runs scored, and one of the Royals' best with runners in scoring position. He's hitting more like a middle of the order hitter than a top of the order hitter.
Yep, when Ned made that adjustment late last season and changed that order around and put Escobar at the top, oh, that just warmed Escobar's heart. Loved to get things going, hitting the first inning, and he's been getting out there. Loves it.
Esky hit his first and only grand slam against Roenis Elias on Mother's Day last year here in Seattle. Head in the count, 2 balls and 1 strike. Elias made 2 starts against KC. He was 1-0, giving up just 4 earned runs in 11 2/3 innings. Escobar going the other way and has a base hit. You know, he flied out on the first pitch of the game, and I wanted to bring that up, that he didn't hit it very hard, but he flied out to right field, and I wondered if that was a good sign that the Royals were going to try and go the other way against the lefty. And now the Royals' first hit, their first base runner, is a base hit the other way for Escobar.
Yeah, he kept his bottom hand through the ball, didn't roll his top hand, and that's important, especially on a guy like Elias that has a good changeup, and he's got a nice curveball too. You can't pull every lefty you see. You got to use that right side of the infield. That was nice to see Escobar do that.
Elias struck out Moustakas on 3 straight pitches in the first inning, put him away with a slider. Elias has struck out 2.
He's going to drop that arm angle down too on lefties. Watch Escobar. Watch his bottom hand. Bottom hand guiding. The top hand follows. He waited. The ball was middle away. Exactly what you want to do. And for Moose, going to have to really focus on keeping that front side closed to not fly open. That's the challenge facing a guy like this with that good hard plus fastball, but then that big curve. Gonna stay with it.
Two and two.
Elias tried to get him to swing again at that. He's good with his pickoff move. He's got a good, quick, above average move. Hasn't shown it yet, and that's good. You don't have to show it all the time. You wait and show it when it's important. It's early in the game right here. I don't think he's worried about Escobar stealing. There it is, though. He showed it. He's got a good move. And he's quick home. Most starting pitchers that play against the Royals all know about their running ability, and they've all changed in their quick home, making it tough on the Royals to steal bases. You can't just go out there and run. But that big leg kick he had there, you can steal on that. Miss with the curve. Moose doesn't strike out all that much. Nobody out. Why not run Escobar? Get a little something going here. You want to, let a guy go like that with nobody out when a hitter doesn't have a lot of strikeouts.
Oh, goes down and gets it. Deep to right field. Gone. A 2-run home run for Mike Moustakas.
Moose. The moose is loose, and it's not their mascot. It's Mike Moustakas taking out a 3-iron and just depositing it over the right field side, almost 380 on the line. Oh, it was loud. Difference maker. 7th homer on the year for Moose. Boy, that was a big lift. Right out over the middle, but down. He lifted that on his own. Didn't roll his hands over. That's a cleanly struck ball.
Cano takes care of Kendrys Morales. Moustakas just missed a home run in game 1 against Felix Hernandez and took an RBI double off the right field wall. That was a tough pitch. He really had to bend that front leg just to get down to get it. You really can't say that was a mistake pitch. That was just really good hitting.
It was wonderful hitting, especially how he's able to do the lifting on his own, getting underneath that ball. Lots of guys they might hit it hard because it's out over the middle, but it's going to be a ground ball to the second baseman or the first baseman.
One and one to Hosmer.
Similar pitch here. Let's watch this pitch to Moose. Look where this is. Right there. Right down over the middle. Down. Short, quick stroke. That's because Moose kept his front shoulder in. With the hands fired.
Up the middle and into center field. So Elias began the night with 3 perfect innings. And now 3 of the last 4 Royals have reached with hits.
So we talk about Escobar again, setting the table up. Hot. Last 15 games. Inside out swing. Just loading them up for the meat of the order. That's a mistake that was up, and Haas was able to ground it right back up the middle. Salvi, dangerous here, because you know how they feed off of one another.
And his first time up, Sal got around in a fastball and lined it just foul into the crowd on the left field side. Then he got a changeup and lined it to center. So he really seemed to be picking the ball up well. We're going to try and tie him up. And he misses inside again. 2-0.
Salvi wants to continue to tell himself, middle away, opposite field, I'm going that way. And that'll keep him quick inside, kind of like Moose. But when you're thinking opposite field, can't go wrong there, especially on the off-speed pitches. 2-0, changeup possibly coming here.
Austin Jackson makes a 2-hand grab, 2 down. Remember, for $25 you have an exclusive opportunity to purchase an autographed copy of Dayton Moore's new book, More Than a Season, and 100% of the proceeds support Dayton's charity, See You in the Major Leagues. And you can purchase that autographed copy right now at Royals.com/More Than a Season. Building a championship culture in Kansas City.
A lot of knowledge, especially on scouting, player development, leadership, decisions that you make, big changes in your life. It's a great book. I'm almost finished with it. It's taken me a long time.
Alex bounced the ball off the plate when he batted in the second inning, about as high as you can bounce it off the plate. And Seager, the third baseman, made an excellent play, running into the grass, catching the ball, making a very quick transition. Glove hand to throwing hand, and got Alex, who was trying to beat it with a head-first slide. I thought there was no way the Mariners were going to get Alex, as high as that ball bounced off the plate.
You'd have thought. Gold Glover ended up catching it.
2-2.
That was the first home run off Elias this year by a left-handed batter. He's given up 9 to righties, and you can see why. Ball coming into a righty is a little bit easier to square up, especially to hit it over the fence, than what Moose did.
Three balls, 2 strikes.
Gordon, Hosmer, and Morales are the 3 Royals that will take a walk. But that's it. No one else is even close. That's a problem that they would like to see more walks. Dale Swain, like that one there. Good. That's Alex's 32nd walk on the year. Leads the team.
Well, it hasn't been a factor yet, but it was definitely something to watch when this series began, because the Mariners, as a pitching staff, have the most walks in the American League. That's Elias's first tonight. So they have the most walks. The Royals have an offense, have the fewest walks. And so how would that play out? Well, all that's happened so far is that Seattle has walked only 4 the entire series, and none have turned into a run. And now ball 1 to Rios with 2 on and 2 out.
Well, the first 3 innings in tonight's game, the Royals only saw 26 pitches. And now this inning here, 26 pitches. And that brings the pitching coach out.
Rick Waits has done a lot of work with Elias. Elias, like a lot of Cuban pitchers, very crafty on the mound. And I think of Livan Hernandez, Orlando Hernandez,
El Duque.
Elias had 5 different arm angles when he first reported to the Mariners in 2011, and Rick Waits and others got him to get one consistent arm slot. Now, as we discussed, he will drop down from time to time against a lefty. Rick Waits also really helped improve Elias's changeup. In fact, he helped Mike Montgomery with his changeup quite a bit, and that was some kind of pitch last night. Rios flied to center first time up. The Royals have 2 in this inning on a Mike Moustakas home run. Pulled foul.
Ooh. Right to you, sir.
He didn't have his glove on. How about that?
Come on.
You bring your glove to the game and you don't have it on.
Now he's putting it on. It's too late. The guy behind you got the ball. He got the souvenir.
Once in a lifetime opportunity, and you don't have your glove on. And that his son or his grandson. And to make it worse, he took it away from the little guy who did have his glove on. Get him out of here. We're the ushers. That's an automatic ejection.
The kid was right on it.
Rios plunked. And that'll load the bases with 2 down for Infante.
Elias has been exceptional in these situations here. .048 batting average with runners in scoring position with 2 outs. And he plunks Rios. So maybe the Royals can continue to put more runs on the board here against him when typically he's been very tough. Infante, good fastball hitter, and a .291 average with runners in scoring position. He's been getting some big hits. They got to keep it up.
Out on a fly ball to center field in the 3rd inning.
First pitch change. Infante's looking for the fastball.
Gets around on it. Fair ball. All the way down into the corner. And here comes Rios. It is a 3-run double for Omar Infante. And the Royals have 5 in the 4th inning.
Spit on the off-speed pitches. Wait for your pitch. Looking for a fastball. Bases loaded. Guy hasn't given up hardly any runs in this situation. Just goes to show you. You can't sneak a piece of cheese by a hungry rat. Look at him. Turned on it, got the pitch he wanted, and cleaned the bases off. Big, big hit for Duffy. Timely.
How about this? It took the Royals 3 innings to get the first 9 batters to the plate. And now all 9 have batted in this 4th inning. Oh, 0-2 on Dyson. Elias struck him out on 3 pitches in the 3rd. That is Infante's 4th or 2nd, 3rd, and 4th RBIs of this series. And now Dyson slaps it the other way. He's going to try for 2. He is in there with a double. The Royals have 6 in the 4th.
Frenzy hitting at its finest. All feeding off of the leadoff hitter Alcides Escobar way back 8-9 batters ago. And the wheels absolutely have fallen completely off the cart. Got a visit from his pitching coach, and now Lloyd McClendon's got to come and get him. Oh, that's a bounce back offense against the lefty.
Who saw this coming? Chevy called to the bullpen in a 6-run 4th inning. Dyson doubles in Omar Infante. Infante drove in 3 with his double. Mike Moustakas has a 2-run home run, and all 6 runs for the Royals have come in this 4th inning. And it all started with an Alcides Escobar single to right field, so he bats for the 2nd time. And Dyson takes off for 3rd.
Keep the pedal down. Don't let him up. Get him in. Escobar's been nails this year with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Recently.
Vidal Nuno, who played his college ball at Baker University in Baldwin City, Kansas, about 45 miles southwest of Kansas City. That's up the left field line, and that is down. 2nd hit of the inning for Escobar, and the 7th run for the Royals. That run is charged to Elias. So Broenis Elias pitched 3 perfect innings, 9 up, 9 down to begin this game. And now he's on the hook for 7 runs in the 4th.
That's how quick it can happen, the way these guys feed off of each other. It's the Royals' first 7-run inning this year. Oh, man, are they feeding off each other.
Slider for a strike to Mike Moustakas, who is our most trusted player. Brought to you by the most trusted brand, Honda.
He hit a bullet. That's what really ignited this team. Got him on the board 2-0. You could hang a week's worth of Goldberg's laundry on that liner. That baby was stung.
Gutierrez comes up to make the play on Moustakas to end a long 11-batter top of the 4th inning. Moustakas drove in 2, Infante 3, Dyson 1, Escobar 1, and the Royals lead by a touchdown.
He will be with many of these Royals at the All-Star game, selected by Ned Yost to be one of the coaches. And his career began in Cincinnati. That's why one of the reasons why Ned picked him. Lloyd telling me that he's extremely honored that Ned would think of him. He expressed that appreciation to Ned. He said he's really looking forward to it because being around so many All-Star players, he said, really, really rejuvenates you. He said in the past, though, he was a hitting coach oftentimes going, and he had to work. He said now he just gets to go relax and enjoy it. Began his career in '87, his rookie year, guys, the same as Jeff Montgomery's with the Reds. I asked him about Monty. I said, what do you remember about it? Young Jeff Montgomery, your rookie teammate, and he said, oh, that slider, it only got better and better. And then he said, I had a nickname for Monty. I said, what was that? He said, I called him my little Shetland pony because he was always out there winning the race and beating the thoroughbreds. He said Monty has no idea about that nickname, by the way.
That's okay. We'll tell him.
Yeah. I think we just did.
Yep.
Oh, way to go, Goldie. Oh, that's nice.
It's the Royals' first 7-run inning. In fact, their biggest inning since the middle of August, when they had a 7-run inning against Minnesota. So the Mariners have a long way to go, and they start the bottom of the 4th with a base hit from Kyle Seager. He is 1 for 2. That is Seattle's 5th hit tonight against Danny Duffy. On Friday, the 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup continues with the quarterfinals as China squares off against Alex Morgan and Team USA in another win or go home matchup for both teams. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. on your local Fox station, and catch the whole tournament streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Trumbo hits it to right field, but Rios has room. Trumbo is 0 for 2, and Seager is back to first base.
Duffy's doing exactly like Dave Island wants him to do. Go after these guys. Challenge them. 7-run lead. Make him earn it.
Now Logan Morrison with 1 on, 1 out. Morrison had a good swing at a breaking ball away and went to left field for a single. Royals were hoping for about 80 to 85 pitches from Danny Duffy, so if he can have a quick inning here, Royals could get 5 out of him tonight.
What did it say before the game? 80 to 90 maybe? 75 around that area?
80 to 85.
There you go. Oh, that'll help.
That'll help a lot. So he'll take 66 pitches back to the dugout as he faces only 3 right after the Royals scored 7 in the top half of the inning. Moments happen every night in baseball. We just saw one in the top of the 4th. But on one night, they all happen in one place. Don't miss the 86th All-Star Game. Coverage begins at 6 o'clock Central, Tuesday, July 14th on Fox. Updated balloting. Miguel Cabrera has passed Eric Hosmer. The Royals still have 7 on the field as we speak. One of them, Kendrys Morales, and that's hit well to deep center field. Over Jackson and up against the wall. First pitch of the inning. Right after the Royals scored 7 last inning, Morales doubles, and right away the Royals have a runner in scoring position.
19th double. I mean, he crushed it. Vidal Nuno. Doesn't have an overpowering fastball. He's a basic 88 to 92 mile-an-hour fastball guy. Got every other pitch.
Hosmer pops out to Miller. Well, with the Royals, we always talk about getting a lead into the 7th inning with the back end of the bullpen, but look at this. The Royals are 30-1 when they lead after 4 innings. Now, of course, when you get deep into the game, Royals, if they have a lead after 7, 30-0, a lead after 8, 36-0. That's pretty good when you're just talking about getting past the 4th inning. 1-2 on Salvador Perez.
Remember in game 1, Salvi took those bats up there that had that strange dark brown pine tar. Haven't seen it since. He broke those 2 bats.
They are all over Nuno, aren't they?
After facing Elias and that hard fastball and that good changeup, I think they're liking Nuno.
He is from San Diego. But ended up playing his college ball in Baldwin City, Kansas at Baker University. And when he got to the big leagues, became just the second Baker product to reach the big leagues. The first one was back in 1913. Zip Zabel. So nobody in between Zip Zabel and Vidal Nuno getting to the big leagues out of Baker.
The name's not too familiar. Didn't ring a bell.
Zip Zabel?
Yeah.
Well, that's because he played 102 years ago. Although there aren't many Zips in the game. Right?
ZZ.
Although that was a time when everybody had a nickname. Guessing Zip was not his given name. He was the 2009 Heart of America Athletic Conference Pitcher of the Year. That got through Zunino, but Morales will hold at second base. And it wasn't a straight shot to the big leagues. He was drafted in the 48th round out of Baker, but then was released. So he had to restart his career in the independent leagues, and then it was the Yankees that signed him back to a professional contract. He gets around a leadoff double in the 5th inning, and at the end of 4 1/2, the Royals lead 7-0. Weather, the offense, the Royals with a 7-run 4th inning. And how about the way Danny Duffy has pitched so far tonight?
Super duper. Taking his time, executing his pitches, working in his new fluid delivery. He's looking good. And that 7th spot they dropped in the 1 inning on Elias, that helped immensely. Now he can go out and just execute. Take some deep breaths, 66 pitches, and cruise. Make them put the ball in play.
1-1 on Zunino, who singled in the second inning. Mariners have had a hit in every inning against Duffy, but nothing more than a single. Danny has struck out 4 and walked none.
Wants to keep it that way.
Ooh, didn't hit the target, but that still looked like it was in the strike zone. Let's check the grid.
Well, he missed. Not Duffy. Home plate umpire Chris Siegel.
And not every umpire is able to call that pitch, because some umpires will move with the catcher. So if the catcher sets up outside, they'll move with the catcher. So if they miss the target, they don't always get the call. It doesn't look like Siegel's doing that. He's still staying square behind home plate. Sal makes the play in front of the Mariners dugout. A reminder, as you enjoy tonight's game and a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. 4 1/3 scoreless for Danny Duffy, making his first start since May 16th. And we showed you earlier that he had 4 walks in 5 innings in that start on May 16th against the Yankees. Danny had 10 walks in his last 8 2/3 innings before going on the disabled list. And not only has he stayed away from a walk so far tonight, but he's had very few 3-ball counts.
A really good physical and mental break for Danny. Combination of both.
Two and 1 on Miller. Danny got him on a ground ball to Infante in the second inning. And Brad Miller is now hitless in his last 12 at bats. Two and 2. .75 pitches for Duffy. Ned Yost said somewhere between 80 and 85 would be the limit. No more than 24 in 1 inning, and that was a long time ago. That was back in the first. And a little bloop out into left center field. So Miller has his first hit in his last 13 at bats. And now the Mariners have at least 1 hit in every inning. Follow live Royals baseball with MLB.com @bat on your smartphone or tablet. Stay connected to the Royals all season wherever you are with the MLB.tv game of the day, in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, and more. The MLB.com app, the #1 app for live baseball. Austin Jackson is singled and popped out to first. Right center field, Dyson will pick it off. Miller goes first to third. Jackson has a 2-hit game. And they're going to stir around now in the Royals bullpen.
Last inning, Duffy induced his 5th ground ball double play of the season. If he could somehow, some way find that here on Gutierrez, that would get him out of the inning. That's a good inside-out pitch. Duffy's doing exactly what he wants to do. Make them earn their way. He's got plenty of good stuff. He's got a couple of good hits off him.
So Ryan Madson is the first to warm up. Boy, the fans are just right there.
It's a good seat, isn't it?
Man.
If you like to watch these guys warm up in the pen, that's where you want to be.
If you have a bad heckler, man, it'd be tough to ignore that heckler. Luckily, he's got a lot of Royals fans in front of him. Now, sometimes with TV, and especially when you're taking a long shot, that those fans look closer than they actually are, but they really aren't. Steve Kurtenbach, our director, says that those long shots will compress the picture to make you think that the background is closer than it is, but really that's not the case here. The fans are just a few feet away from Ryan Madson.
You see Mr. Sheriff standing right there, though? That's his protection. See him? There he is.
And he's packing heat.
Believe it, he's not one of those renegades guys that you get to stand out there. He's the real deal. So if any hecklers get out of the way, there he is. All right.
And he get very nice.
Okay. We'll get off you now.
You were with us earlier. That fellow there had a line drive hit to him, and he didn't have his glove on, and the little guy next to him did. And just kind of held his glove up, and that little guy was about to make the catch of his life. Rios gets behind it, and in a 7-run game, he'll play it to second base. Gutierrez, in his first game in 2 seasons, gets a sacrifice fly, and the fans love it. His teammates love it. Very popular player in the clubhouse. They've been pulling for him for years. And Seattle is on the board.
Duffy doing an outstanding job. Not walking anybody, he's challenging hitters. Exactly what you do with this kind of lead.
Robinson Cano is struck out and lined to third. Duffy's at 84 pitches. Madson's ready to go, and I think no matter what happens here, this is Duffy's last hitter. Madson just standing and watching, and right hand hitting Nelson Cruz is on deck. 2-0.
Guy right there has got to be really happy with what he's seeing. He said everything hinges on Duffy's lead shoulder, that front shoulder. We want that going straight downhill towards Salvi, and he's done that. Yeah, he wants to finish strong here and get Cano here, challenge him, get him, go right after him, finish strong. He knows this is it for him. Yep, that deep breath, that's good. Deep breathing helps calm the muscles and the nerves.
Two and two.
My fastball looks good, but it's just hard to square it at 95. He might try that big breaker on him now. Good time for it after a couple of high fastballs.
Another line drive to the left side. This one gets by Moustakas. Cano last time up made a line drive just like that right at Mike Moustakas. And the Mariners have 3 hits in the inning. Danny Duffy's at 88 pitches. Nelson Cruz coming to the plate. And Ned Yost coming out of the dugout.
3 high fastballs in a row. He finally caught one. He adjusted. And that's all right. I'll tell you, look at all of the infielders. Look at those guys. They all know how important Duffy is to this rotation. Fantastic job.
Against Danny Duffy, our sprint cuts of the game.
Sure was nice to see Duffy out there free and easy. New windup, whatever you want to call it. His front shoulder was the key, and he executed all of his pitches. Mainly fastball, slider. He threw a few changeups, but Duffy was really good. Challenge hitter's not a walk. He used that double play ball. That helped him get through the inning.
Nelson Cruz has never faced Ryan Madson, and he comes up with 2 on, 2 out.
Oh, Duffy's got to feel relieved.
1-1 on Cruz, who isn't sad to see Duffy go. Danny struck him out twice. So Madson's on for the 29th time with Jackson at third, Cano at first. You know, it's interesting with Cruz never facing Madson. You know, a lot of times now, even if a hitter has seen a reliever, the reliever comes in, the hitter goes over the dugout, and they go through a notebook, scouting report, like they're cramming for a test. And I was watching Nelson Cruz. He never went near the Mariners dugout. He just stood there and watched Madson warm up. I'm sure he knows a little something about Ryan Madson, but he just went to the plate. And he hits it to Escobar. Tough hop. That'll get a run home. Jackson scores. So Nelson Cruz makes it a 5-run game with his 45th run driven in.
You don't see Escobar getting tied up there, and you could see he was looking at Infante, saying that ball was a knuckleball, man. It was knuckling right at him, hitting him right in the belt. He's going to be charged with an error on that.
Apparently the official score here in Seattle had 37 gold gloves in his career.
That's a tester. Look at it. This is a knuckleball hit at him. And so he wasn't sure how to
call that
feel
an error.
Yeah, he wasn't sure how to field that. Ball was knuckling at him. You know, he wasn't sure how to, you don't get many balls squared up like that at you. But when that happens, it could be tough.
Well, he just took an RBI away from Nelson Cruz.
Yeah, that's an in-betweener. Caught him right on the belt. I had base hit written down.
So did I. You know, if he was in good position and the ball went off of his glove, you know, that's one thing. Yeah, as you say, sometimes a guy just clanks it. But he couldn't decide how to set his feet for a ball like that. And if Alcides Escobar doesn't know how to set his feet on a ball and it comes up and hits him like that, that is not ordinary effort.
No. You could call it what you want. That's just a one tough chance. Didn't go his way.
2 balls, 2 strikes. So I just found out the official score is Ozzie K-Line Griffey.
Really? Wow. His parents must have been baseball fans.
Right to Infante. So Seager hits into bad luck. The Mariners get a couple of runs, 1 unearned. So to the 6th, and the Royals lead now is 5. Royals had a 7-run 4th inning against Roenis Elias. Alex Rios leads off our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Jeremy Huff from Belton. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Jeffrey Huff, not Jeremy, Jeffrey Huff will win $2,400, and of course a grand slam is worth $25,000. Miller throws and out at first base.
That ball wouldn't hit all that hard. I didn't think Miller had a play on him.
Alex Rios is in no hurry to go back to the Royals dugout as they take a look. And the Royals say that Pat Hoberg was right.
Sure was one heck of a play. Good transfer from glove to hand, stayed on top and just heaved it. Heave-ho, got him. Nice play.
Two on Infante. He hit the 3-run double in the Royals 7-run 4th inning. Mike Moustakas had a 2-run home run, and Gerard Dyson and Alcides Escobar had RBI base hits. And if you weren't with us, Roenis Elias opened with 3 perfect innings, 9 up, 9 down, but in the 4th the Royals scored 7 and knocked him out. And that's hit well to left center field. Jackson didn't take the best route. I think it's a base hit either way. And Infante has a 2-hit game.
Good for him. Infante on fire. Our Chrysler drive of the game, 4th inning. Omar Infante, he picked on that first fastball he saw. And it was right over the middle. First pitch was a breaking ball. He spit on it. He was waiting for the cookie, and he got it. Cleared to Sachs. Big hit for the Royals.
Rod Dyson delivered the knockout blow to Elias in the 4th inning. Down 0-2. He doubled up the left field line with an RBI. And that was the last man that Elias faced.
And with Kane having a slight hamstring problem.
Cano. Oh, man. That was a great play. And it's a good thing he made it, or that would have been an error.
What's some kind of hands right here? That was soft and smooth. I don't know why Dyson wasn't running, but he's out.
Kind of hobbling around out there. Now watch this. Hits it, and then you see that little.
You hope he's all right, because Lorenzo Cain's the only outfielder out there, or on Ned's bench.
Yeah, Dyson's out there because Cain had a little problem with a hamstring. The Royals don't think it's serious. Just wanted to make sure it didn't become serious. And of course, Dyson's tested right away off the bat of Trumbo, and it looked all right. Yeah, even after he made the play, dropped his head right away.
You have to tough it up, tough it out, hang in there, try to stay in this game. Got an off day tomorrow, but
watch right after he catches it. Yeah, I think something's bothering him.
Yep.
Do you?
Must be.
Well, and Salvador Perez notices and wants to make sure he's all right. Yep. Royals have Cain, who they don't want to play, Butera and Colon on the bench.
You don't want to use your only backup catcher.
So you really only have two if you don't want to put Cain out there. So I guess Rios or Alex could play center field. Christian Colon can play a little bit in the outfield.
Sure. I'm sure Colon would like that opportunity.
Ryan Madsen hits the 6th inning after finishing off the Mariners in the 5th. Nelson Cruz reached against Madsen on what was ruled an error by Escobar. And then Seager made the final out. Danny Duffy gave up 2 runs, 1 earned in 4 2/3 innings, no walks. Great changeup. 1-2 on Morrison.
After the fastball, that changeup is wicked to a lefty, especially moving down and away. Perfectly executed pitch. That change is a beauty.
Going the other way. And Alex is there for out number 2. Vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com, and you'll be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House.
We got to get Moose in that All-Star game, man. Come on. Donaldson from Toronto is picking up his votes. We got to keep Moose in. He's an All-Star worthy candidate. We got to get him in, folks. Come on, keep it up.
He's real tough to pitch to these days.
Dangerous. Madsen 90 to 95. He's going to change speeds, and that's effective pitch there. So that's like 2 pitches sometimes in one. A little slider he'll use once in a while, but that fastball changeup combination is enough.
A slider or a cutter?
It looked like a cutter to me.
Fastball 95, cutter 91, and then that devastating changeup.
Wade Davis is a pretty popular pitcher in the league and in baseball and to his teammates. So they're all kind of watching Wade Davis and want to know how he's doing it. And really for Madsen, if that is a cutter, boy, that's a perfect way to bring it in. I mean, that makes him even tougher because Davis has a cutter. He's got him underneath the ball. It's perfect.
Easier play for Dyson. Madsen 3 up, 3 down in the bottom of the 6th inning.
He's the Madsen mauler. Hope Dyson's all right.
By Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. And by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. 7th inning, Royals by 5. They did all of their scoring in 1 inning. 7-run 4th. And Alcides Escobar has just picked up his 3rd hit. He singled and doubled in that 7-run 4th inning, scoring a run and then driving in the final run of the inning. And we had showed you earlier in the game that he's really warmed up at the plate over his past 15 games. Will now make it his last 16 games.
Ned's top 2 guys in his order. They're not messing around. They are driving the bus tonight.
And Mike Moustakas was in the middle of that 7-run 4th with a 2-run home run to right center field. He has a 9-game hitting streak. And Mike Moustakas has driven in a run in 8 of his last 9 games. One ball, 1 strike.
Vidal Nuno has a high leg kick and he's going home, and he's a perfect lefty. You could go on first movement on him. Escobar, he's got 5 steals.
Still 1-2.
See if Moose goes to that 2-strike approach and looks for something out and away, and he just slaps that ball to left field. He's been doing it so well this year. There's a shot at it. Moose with his 3rd home run off of Elias, the left-hander pitcher. That equals his total from last year. Homers off of lefties. That last swing there, that was his 2-strike approach. Mariners playing Moose straight up.
Nuno with a bare hand will get the out. 1 down. And that moves Escobar to second base. Don't forget, the 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup continues with the U.S. taking on China. That's a win or go home matchup. Coverage at 6 p.m. Friday on your local Fox station. And then you can catch the whole tournament streaming live on Fox Sports Go. And if the women advance, the U.S. women, the semifinal will be on Tuesday. The opponent would be the winner of the Germany-France match, which is also on Friday. So a doubleheader on Fox and Fox Sports Kansas City on Friday. Women's World Cup first. Royals and the A's second. Escobar will tag as Jackson makes the play. Morales is 1 for 4. And if you're wondering about the U.S. and China, in 1999, the U.S. beat China in the final at the Rose Bowl on penalty shots to win the World Cup.
Wow. Like it. I know. I didn't know you were a big fan of the U.S. women's soccer team.
They have advanced to at least the quarterfinals in every World Cup they've played in.
Outstanding.
Like that. And of course, you have to remember, maybe not the name, but the moment when the U.S. beat China at the Rose Bowl.
Brandy Chastain. She scored that penalty kick.
Yep, who's related to Brandy Chastain.
Chastain?
Yep. Shirt off. Yep. There were undergarments. Hosmer drives in Escobar, and the Royals lead 8-2.
Boy, that's
one of the most memorable celebrations in sports history.
No question about it. Hope they can repeat. But talk about a two-strike approach. Hosmer just showed it. You're going to throw me away? All right. I'll wait a tick longer. That ball's right down the middle. I'm not going to try to swing out of my shoes. I'm going to keep it controlled. Stay inside the ball. Beautiful stroke.
Hosmer has a 2-hit game and an RBI to go with a run scored back in the big 4th inning.
You know, I like to watch that World Cup and the replays and everything. You know, one of the reasons is Bob Holtzman for another network. He's on, and I like to watch him. He's really good at what he does. And he's covering that. That's our guy Dave Holtzman's brother. Our teammate.
Nuno strikes out his second. The Royals add a run. Stretch time in Seattle. The Royals lead by 6.
On the American League, Phil Hughes, happy birthday, pitched very well this afternoon. Cleveland finally beats Detroit. Miguel Cabrera had the day off, by the way. Los Angeles in extra innings over Houston, and Oakland 8-2 against Texas. Our Mazda game break takes us to Target Field, and maybe this play right here sums up the season for the White Sox so far. An RBI, a misplay. Chris Sale with double-digit strikeouts again in this contest, but the final line on him not very good as Sale and the White Sox lose. He goes 6 2/3, allows 5 earned runs to go with those 10 strikeouts.
And if he had 2 more, that would have been a major league record. 6 consecutive starts with at least 12, right?
I think he at least ended up with 7 straight of at least 10 games, but yeah, falling 2 short of that 12 mark.
Thank you, Joel, for all that. Kelvin Herrera takes over in the bottom of the 7th inning. Danny Duffy in his return from the disabled list went 4 2/3, allowed 2 runs, 1 was earned. Ryan Madsen pitched an inning in the 3rd, and now Herrera. Royals not only have a rested bullpen, everyone gets a day off tomorrow. Mike Moustakas, backhand play, and throws a bullet over to first to get Brad Miller.
Fundamentally sound. Moose ready to move to his left to right. Ball came up for him nicely, patted his glove, and that howitzer, the cannon, just threw him out. Good arm. Seager won the Gold Glove last year. Be tough to take it from him. He's a young player, but Moose, he's holding his own. He's only made 5 errors this year at the hot corner. That's a tough spot. Most of your errors on the infielders are on your third baseman and your shortstop.
Seager has 7 errors.
Moose will get a Gold Glove. He just got to stay in there. He's got great work habits, good third baseman, good reaction, solid arm.
Jackson is out. 2 down in the bottom of the 7th inning. Austin Jackson's 2 for 4. The Royals and Fox Sports Kansas City are offering a unique way for fans across the Midwest to enjoy a game at Kauffman Stadium. It's the Forever Royal Fan Express, and fans in designated markets will have the opportunity to win a trip to Kauffman Stadium. The next stop is Des Moines on the 4th of July. Go to Royals.com/Fan Express for more information.
Such a great deal that the Royals and Fox got together and painted up a nice bus. By the way, it's all refurbished inside the bus too.
You've been inside of it?
I have.
Your picture's on the outside, isn't it?
Well, they give me a chance to go up there at the top of the hill when they come in. I get on the bus and come driving around in front of the stadium. Get to yuck it up with the fans on the bus. Get them all stirred up. It's a lot of fun.
With Moustakas fielding that foul ball, he is +6 in defensive runs saved, and Kyle Seager is +3 in defensive runs saved.
Nowadays they look at that number there. Defensive runs saved.
1-2 from Herrera to Franklin Gutierrez. Herrera was impressive in the game on Monday, coming on in relief of Joe Blanton after his 6 innings. Herrera struck out 2 in a scoreless 7th inning, and on more than one occasion went over 100, hit 101 on the radar gun. And there's 100. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Incredible how he uses his lower half and upper half. It's not all that big a human being. Great blessing of an arm. Says his dad threw hard and so did his grandpa. It's genetics, a lot of that, but it's hard work too. His changeup is extremely effective, like Madsen's.
Changeup, 90-mile-an-hour changeup, and Herrera pitches a scoreless bottom of the 7th inning.
El Toro.
lights here in the ballpark, the first ballpark to have such kind of lights in the major leagues. The University of Phoenix Stadium, house of the Arizona Cardinals, and the NFL has them too. But the Mariners installed them in the offseason. Really interesting. They're much more powerful. They'll last, though, 30 years as opposed to 3 years for the last set of lights that they had in here. Just like when, HUD installs some new light bulbs in his house and is environmentally friendly. Talking to some of the players, and that is a company out of Korea that they got the lights from, Gigaterra. And talking to Alex Gordon, he hasn't lost any balls in the lights in the first 2 series, but he said he would imagine if you got one in there, it would come out a lot quicker because not all of those are lit up at the same time. So very environmentally friendly, and probably a pretty good chance we start to see some of these in other stadiums too. Thought it was pretty cool last night. Well, I didn't like the fact that the Mariners had won, but they started flashing them on and off, and unlike most stadium lights that take a while to kick on, they go on and off instantaneously. They were saying earlier in the year when Fernando Rodney was closing, he's not anymore, you'd almost have a little bit of a dance party when he was coming in, flashing them on and off and on and off. A little bit jarring if you're not used to something like that.
It's kind of like a strobe light effect, but boy, you're right, Joel, man. When they turn those things on, they are on right now.
And I bet it wasn't cheap. Joel, did you get a price?
No, I've been looking for a price tag. I didn't find it. I'm sure they're not cheap at
Can you get
all.
those can you get those at Menards?
Yes.
You can?
And you could save big money there, too.
Yep. And that would be a serious home improvement.
It would be. I suspect that this is a very good long-term investment if you're not changing them for 30 years. And, I think that now the guys in the truck could answer this better, but talking to some of the folks around here, as we see Alex with the hit up the middle, is that it supposedly shows up better on TV. The X-Mos and the slow-mos look better. That's at least what I heard. I don't know if in our 3 games we could back that up or not.
Well, I like the shot as you were describing the lights, because when you're a corner outfielder, if it gets up in the bank of lights, HUD, I noticed 2 things. First of all, you only have 3 rows of lights. And as Joel was talking about, only 1 row is at maximum. So the other 2 are providing some light, but really it's only 1 bank of lights that is full blast where you could potentially lose a ball in the lights. We're going to go to Oakland after here, and you played there. I mean, that you got about 10 rows of lights there.
Hey, but if you look
how are they doing with sustainability in Oakland?
It's a double play.
How's their environmentalism going there?
Yeah, it's about the polar opposite of here. This is the perfect place. Seattle is a very green city. The Mariners are a very green organization, and Seattle always seems to be on the cutting edge when it comes to technology. So this was, I guess, the perfect place to use the LEDs.
I like how they line them up. They probably did all that on a computer, but each one of them has their own stand, and so they're each one of them are facing a certain part of the field to illuminate the place.
They use 60% less power than the last ones.
Nice investigating reporting, Joel. Way to go. I like that.
I dug really deep.
Now, as you guys know, a regular light at Kauffman Stadium has a 60-second hum to it.
I didn't know that.
60-cycle hum. So that's why when we go super slow-mo, sometimes it has a blinking effect, or the scoreboard sometimes, super slow-mo, will have a blinking effect, but no blinking with the LED.
Oh, that's a beautiful shot.
That's because you don't have the 60-cycle hum.
Which I know that
whatever that means.
That always bugs you.
Yeah.
HUD was saying the other day.
Once you get over 40, it's kind of irritating.
No, HUD was saying he's okay with the 30-cycle hum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you get up to 45 or 60.
Oh, well.
It looks good here. How about that?
Stay hot.
Omar Infante matching Alcides Escobar with a 3-hit game. And it's the 8th time in the last 10 games the Royals have had 10 or more hits. As promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Just rains, it pours, and we see that frenzy hitting going with this offense. Moose hit a liner, just like he did in game 1. Infante, though, that was the big hit. Cleaned the sacks off. Dyson added another one. Yeah, got the pitcher Elias a little upset. He couldn't believe they were hitting him like that. Dropped a 7 spot on him in the 4th.
So the Royals in this series have gone from 10 hits to 4 hits to 12 hits. Rod Dyson's still in there. We thought maybe there was the possibility of a move, maybe with the Royals having a big lead, but he appeared to be limping when he went up the line, when he grounded into a double play, and still didn't look right when he went back on a fly ball in the bottom of the 6th. And the Royals already not using Lorenzo Cain tonight because he has a little tweak to the hamstring.
Will Helmsen, good hard fastball. He'll go 93 to 98 with that heavy sinker. He likes to sink it, curve, and a split finger. Low strike zone.
Broken bat, inning over. 8-2 Royals to the bottom of the 8th. They will be in San Francisco, but playing the Oakland A's. Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, all 3 games on Fox Sports Kansas City. And after the game on Sunday, the Royals head to Houston, so we'll see what the Astros are all about. Question that keeps coming up with the Royals on their way to Oakland is anything still smoldering after what happened between the Royals and the A's at Kauffman Stadium back in April. Royals have something to play for. Right now the A's do not. Right now, at least, as they're in last place, 10 games out in the West.
Well, you would hope and think that that's all water under the bridge. think it did more for the Royals than it did Oakland, because they left Kauffman Stadium and they went down quickly.
Same with the White Sox.
Interesting.
Franklin Morales to Robinson Cano, who was 1 for 3 against Danny Duffy.
Morales has done a great job. Opponents only hitting 200 off of him in 28 innings. "17 strikeouts. It's good. Fastball low to mid-90s. We've seen him touch 95, but he's good around that low 90s. Good hard slider. We'll see it right here. Or Cano will. Ooh. It's more of a curve. You know, when he was a starting pitcher, he had all 4 pitches. So when you're a guy like Morales, who's mainly coming in just to face guys one time through, fastball slider, that's all you need.
How about that? Robinson Cano didn't ask Chris Siegel, the home plate umpire, for time. He asked Franklin Morales for time.
Got it.
Pulls it on the ground to Infante, who gets a nice big bounce. Cano is 1 for 4, 1 down in the bottom of the 8th. Nelson Cruz, one of the keys to the Royals winning this series. If they can prevent Seattle from scoring 6 in the next 5 outs, is keeping Nelson Cruz down. He is 0 for 9 in the series. Should have had a base hit, at least in our opinion, up here in the 5th. But a hard hit, tough hop ground ball to Alcides Escobar was ruled an error. So it took a hit and an RBI away from Cruz. In the last deal between the players and the owners, there was an agreement made that official scores would be left alone. So if the Royals or the Mariners PR department does not agree with a call from the official score, they really can't go over and argue with the official score, and that's a good rule. They can ask the official score to take another look, consider another look, kind of like before the expanded replay. On a disputed home run, a manager could go out and ask the umpires if they would consider another look. So what teams do now is if they don't agree with the official score, and there is tonight's official score, Eric Radovich, what teams can do is that they will send a recording of a play to the league and a department head by Joe Torre and have the league review it, and the league can overrule the official score. Rios started back and then came up to make the play on Cruz, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Mariners and the Royals submitted that play to the league. The Royals trying to save Escobar from an error. They'd like to see him win a Gold Glove, and the Mariners would like Nelson Cruz to get an RBI.
That's right.
So you got both sides disagreeing with the call.
I hope it happens. Get a knuckleball hit at you like that, man, and it's in no man's land and it's hit hard. You almost got to try to defend yourself, and that's what Escobar was trying to do.
Kyle Seager with 2 down. Here's that play we're talking about.
Escobar, he wanted to flip his glove underneath, and he kept his glove up because he wasn't sure how to read the knuckler coming at him at about 85.
And we played it back for you in real time because sometimes an official score will watch the play from the press box with their own 2 eyes at regular speed, and if they're not sure,
There
was a foul ball by Seager. If they're not sure, they will watch the replay, and almost every time that replay is going to be in super slow motion, and it always seems to look like a routine play in super slow motion.
In order to get the real speed of the game at field level, sometimes that slow motion is a good way to show people, because the game happens so fast. So you're right, you show it in real time, it really kind of helps you see how difficult it was.
Moustakas makes the play, and Franklin Morales has allowed just 1 run in his last 9 2/3 innings.
Nails.
Coming up on Boulevard Royals Live when the game is over, we hope for a guest from the field, reaction from the Royals clubhouse, including Royals manager Ned Yost, and setting up the next series, 3 games against the Oakland A's beginning on Friday night. Joe Beimel will pitch the top of the 9th inning. Who was the scariest looking pitcher you faced in your career, where you were out before you even got into the batter's box?
You mean looking at him?
Yeah.
As far as ugly goes?
Well, I didn't use that word. I said scary.
Oh.
Creepy.
Well, Randy Johnson. And, you know, Zane Smith, he was a tester. Some of those guys, if you look too closely at their face, it would take you out of your at-bat.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you walk up there and you're adjusting your batting gloves and you're, shrugging your shoulders and getting loose, and you dig in and you look up and you're out before the first pitch even comes.
Kevin Apier.
Really? Who might be listening tonight.
Oh, I hope he is, because I'm glad he's out of the league. He was just unbelievable.
Alcides Escobar has a 3-hit game. The Royals have a 12-hit game. Escobar scored the first of the 7 runs in the 4th and drove in the last of the 7 runs. I don't want to face that guy. I mean, that's the kind of guy that. There you go. I don't know. Now here's the curtsy. Nice, Hud.
That's the best I could do. When my pants were so tight, I really wanted to go to my pant leg to curtsy him.
Right.
And really, I was not tipping my cap to him. I was making a gesture that.
Because he said he's going to throw you a fastball.
Right. And he's. So they play that replay, and it looks like I'm tipping my cap to him, but I'm really not. And that's the only time I ever did anything like that in my career.
I don't think there's one person listening tonight, myself included, that believes that. That's the only time you ever did something like that in your career.
Only time ever.
I saw a baseball card of you at Tiger Stadium hugging a pole.
That was before the game. I was happy.
Okay. Yeah.
They didn't want to show. They didn't want to show the highlight of me taking him deep in the kingdom, about 25 rows up, on a hanging slider. They didn't want to show that one. They want to show me going down like so many other guys did facing that guy. He's a beast.
I wouldn't want to face Beimel, and I also wouldn't want to be chased through the forest by Joe Beimel. I mean, I just picture him trying to run me down, you know, with a hatchet in his hand.
You're a beauty.
Because I stepped foot on his property.
I was hoping that fourth hit would come.
Well, it's one of the things we talked about before the game started. Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. The Royals have lost their previous 7 games facing a left-hand starter, and those starters had a combined ERA under 1. But tonight, man, and it looked like we were headed in that direction again, as Roenis Elias started with 3 perfect innings. And then the Royals scored 7 against him in the 4th inning. Now, what if you're a ticket taker at Safeco Field and somebody comes to the turnstile, Mike Moustakas, just foul, and popcorn flying everywhere, and somebody wants to come through the gate with that gigantic stuffed animal?
Interesting. I don't know the rules of how they let him in, but that would startle me. They probably have some kind of rules. Everybody has to go through security now. You know, they have the metal detectors and everything. I mean, wonder how that guy got through the metal detectors.
It's taken up a seat too.
He's not real active.
Tell you what, you got to love your stuffed animal if you're willing to buy a ticket for it at a major league game.
Doesn't look like there's much life in there.
No. One and 2 on Moustakas. He was part of that 7-run 4th inning with a home run against Elias. First home run allowed by Elias to a left-hand batter. Moustakas drove in 2. He has a 9-game hitting streak. Two and 2. Did you face Al Raboski?
Nope. Missed him. Only before the game. Batting practice. Long time ago when I was with the Expos and he was broadcasting for the Cardinals. He would throw. He would throw to their hitters. Al Raboski would. Oh.
Perfect. That reminds you of Ichiro Suzuki, who had a great career here in Seattle. Just slapping it through the wide open left side, and Mike Moustakas has another multi-hit game.
That's the 2-strike approach he's been using all year long, and it's working. Fastball away. I'll just wait a tick and go with it. So the one time they play him to shift, and look at him, he won. Check out the hits by direction for Moose. Updated. Wow, look at that. That's one of the reasons why he's an all-star, folks. He's using the opposite field. We painfully tried to talk Moose into that last year, using the other side of the field, and he wasn't comfortable doing it. He was trying to pull himself out of his misery in his batting average, and it just wasn't working. You start using the whole field, it opens up, and your batting average is much nicer. And he's not a punch and Judy number 2-hole hitter either. He's got some thunder in there.
He has 25 multi-hit games. The Royals haven't played 70 games yet this year. He had 17 all of last year and has 25 already this year. I asked if you faced Al Raboski because he certainly tried that intimidation with the big Fu Manchu and going to the back of the mound and grunting and pounding the ball in his glove, violently turning around back to the hitter to go to the pitching slab.
A little intimidation factor. Now, there's another guy like that I faced that wasn't that drastic. Eddie Guardado of the Minnesota Twins. Everyday Eddie. He had that he'd slam the rosin back down, and Eddie and I are friends.
That guy's not going to scare anybody when he gets on the mound. Or if he does in a different way.
He's happy. But guys that played that intimidation game didn't scare me. Now, some guys it worked on, but get up on that launching pad, man. I'm going to get you if you give me a cookie. It's mind over matter in this game. A lot of visual, body language action in this game. There's no words. But some guys it works on. Randy Johnson didn't need that.
Double play, and we go to the bottom of the ninth. The Royals are 3 outs away from taking the series from the Mariners. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation.
Look at that view. We caught it at a perfect time. No cloud cover, perfect weather. Great time to get 2 out of 3.
If we could hold that shot. You know, before the Milwaukee Brewers, they were the Seattle Pilots, and Denny Matthews used to tell me that farthest building on your right.
This one here?
Yep. When the Royals were here in '69 to play the Pilots, that was the tallest building in Seattle. That's how much this city has grown to be one of the big cities in the country, and in particular on the West Coast. And what a beautiful city it is. So refreshing. It is the Smith Tower. Wow. Steve Kurtenbach, our director, said that at one time was the tallest building west of the Mississippi. So, let alone the tallest tower in Seattle. But when Denny is with us and he's not on this trip, and we'd be at the Kingdome, because that's right across the street from the old Kingdome, he would always point that out. When we talk about how big Seattle is, and the traffic here can be just dreadful. But at one time, that was the tallest building. Brandon Finnegan will try and finish it off. Trumbo, Morrison, and Zunino are the scheduled hitters. Trumbo and Vidal Nino, who pitched tonight, came over in the same trade from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Trumbo down on strikes, and that makes Mark Trumbo 10 for 63 since coming over from Arizona.
Yikes. Wasn't the instant offense Lloyd McClendon was hoping that he would inject in their lineup. He does swing and miss quite a bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, Hud, they have tried over the years, over the last several years, to find something to get this offense going. We talked about it last night. Remember the year that they brought in both Richie Sexson and Adrian Beltre. They brought Raul Ibanez back. They brought in Robinson Cano. They have brought in Nelson Cruz, Logan Morrison, who's batting now. A couple of years ago, they brought in Corey Hart. In 2007, they were third in the league in hitting, seventh in runs scored, so right in the middle. But from 2008 to 2015, 14th in batting average, 14th in runs scored, 12th in home runs. I mean, it's just been year after year where they have struggled, no matter who's wearing the uniform, to get hits, get men on base, score runs. We mentioned last year they brought the fences in left field, and the Mariners entering tonight last in the league in hitting and second from the bottom in runs scored.
Lloyd McClendon, he was a really good hitting coach before he became a manager, and he said, if I could figure it out, believe me, I would have by now. You just sometimes can't figure things out. So they fired, or didn't fire him, they just sent Howard Johnson down to their minor leagues, and they brought Edgar in, and Edgar, he's got his hands full, Edgar Martinez. He said he's just doing a lot of watching and a lot of listening right now. That's what you do when you first come on the job in the middle of the season. This guy here was a great hitter, and as far as being a great hitter, able to transfer that to the hitters nowadays, it can be done. Rod Carew was as good a hitter as they're in, Hall of Famer. He was the best hitting coach I ever had. He was wonderful at it. Edgar, he could be the guy that can help them mentally. Hitting coaches help the mental side of hitting. I don't know how many hitting coaches have their name in a stadium like that.
A restaurant named after him.
That's right.
Well, you know, you have to have a lot of natural ability to accomplish what he did. But you remember early in his career, he was just kind of an average player. But he had a really bad hamstring injury early in his career. Dyson started back. He'll come up and make the play. And he realized if he was going to stay in the big leagues, this is when Seattle was across the street on the AstroTurf, that not very conducive to having a bad hamstring that's standing on the field, that he was going to have to become a good hitter, because he was going to be a designated hitter, and became one of the best right-hand hitters of his time. So you're not just talking about someone who did it all naturally. He had to become a great hitter, which I think bodes well for him becoming a good hitting coach. You know, he wasn't those guys that just fell out of bed and could hit 350 every year.
No, he was the best right-handed hitter that I played against in the American League, by far. He could hit to any situation on the field, any of them.
At the end of the bat, and Mike Zunino, the Mariners really need him to get going. He has a 2-hit game. So it may seem like a meaningless hit with 2 down in the bottom of the 9th inning in a 6-run game, but in the Mariners' minds, every hit for Mike Zunino has some meaning. It's been a good night of pitching for the Royals, starting with Danny Duffy, coming back from the disabled list tonight. giving up just 2 runs in 4 2/3 innings. 1 run was unearned. And this should do it. Infante to Hosmer, and the Royals take 2 out of 3 from the Seattle Mariners. So Duffy didn't go 5 innings to qualify for the win, so Ryan Madsen gets the win, and that's his first since 2011. And on the offensive side, a 7-run 4th inning. The Royals finished with 8 runs on 13 hits to take the series.
All aboard. That's right. Nice little series victory. Get on the bus and forget about us until late September when they see the Mariners again. Great job of frenzy-style hitting, but Madsen, how about that? First win since 11? Way to go.
And it's the first series win for the Royals in Seattle since 2010. 8-2 is the final. We'll be right back.